Okay, so now I'm doing a little recording on the difference between price elasticity of demand and slope, because apparently that's like a question that's like confusing people. So, first of all, slope is just the change in. Oh, is this the wrong way? Is the opposite? Whatever, anyway. Mm. Okay, so when we're doing slope, it's just like the change in this or the change in this, right? So, like this P2, P1, this distance versus Q1, Q2, this distance. Okay, so this is slope. So you do like this distance change in P, this is change in Q. So it would be change in Q over change in P. Okay, actually I don't know. Like if we do just like if we do slope of this thingy, okay, you know what? How do we just pretend this entire thing is inverted so we have like Q over here, P over here, and the demand is this way? As price increases, as a price increases, quantity decreases. Yes, okay. So the same way. But anyway, yeah, like just like it's just the change in the y over the change in x. Okay, that's all slope is. Now, price elasticity of demand. Now, over here, if we look at a okay, hold on. So right now we have a graph over here. We have price and quantity, and it's like this. Okay, so the slope of this line over here would be this change in Q over this change in P. So this change in Q over the change in P. And if you look at the actual graph, like you can see that the Q is like a lot bigger than the P. So this is going to be like a big number. Okay, whereas like if it was like a bit more like less deep like this, we would have the change in Q would be smaller than change in P. So it would be like change in Q over change in P equals small number. Okay, so that's like, you know, just slope general. Now, the question is, why isn't the price elasticity of demand just equal to the slope? So first of all, the price elasticity of demand is basically like if I were to increase my price, how much would my quantity demanded increase? I mean decrease, whatever. Or like if I were to decrease the price, like if I were to drop the prices, how much would Q increase? Like how much more would people want want the object? Now you might be like, we can just use the slope for this number, right? Because like this just gives you like if you change the p by this amount, you know, like moving the p a bit to this much, like you can increase a cube or decrease a cube by like, you know, this much and all that. And like, yeah, that, you know, makes sense and all that. But the thing about the price elasticity of demand is that it goes a bit like it. The thing about slope is that slope doesn't really take into consideration the actual values. Like it's only just a difference over a difference, but it doesn't take into consideration the actual values. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that the change in quantity, let's just use an example. We have a product, okay. The change in price, so the price went from 2 to 4. Okay, $2 to $4. So they've increased the price. And people are like, ew, so they like buy less. Okay, so why is my marker working? So as they increase the price, the quantity decreases, but the quantity decreases by like a larger amount. Like literally it drops from like, let's say, $1,000 to $900. I mean, what? No, like 900 to 900 like items, okay? So now if we're to do the change in quantity over the change in price, actually no, let's make it even more clear. Let's say it went from let's say it went from $1,000 to 950, okay? So if we were to do the change in quantity over the change in price, actually, let's make it even worse. Let's make it 10,000 to 9,500, okay? So let's say the change in quantity over the change in price. So the change in quantity is Q2 minus Q1. So 9,500 minus 10,000 over the change in the price, which is 2. And that is equal to 500? 500 divided by 2 equals 250. Now looking at this number, the change in quantity or the change in price, you look at this number and you're like, oh my god, like it's actually increasing or decreasing so much. Like changing the price by small amounts increases the quantity demanded by like so much. It's crazy, right? But thing is, that's not really realistic, right? Like, because this increase, if you think about it, this increase is like a whole doubling of the amount, whereas this increase, like if you were to look at just like the change, 500 is a very small amount when you compare to like the thousands, right? Like even if this was like something like 10,000 to 9950, that's a whole $50. Is this correct? Yeah, that's $50 increase. And if we were to do this thing, that would be like 25, and you'd be like if you were to do like 55 divided by 2, like if you were to plug it in there, you'd be like, oh my god, it's 25 and it's such a high amount, blah blah blah. But in like the grand scheme of things, when you take into consideration the actual values, like where this is literally nothing, right? Like we're in the thousands. Like a drop by like 50 is going to do absolutely nothing. So that's why when you think about price elasticity of demand, you have to add in a little extra thing to sort of take into consideration that little, the little factor. So one cool thing, I don't know if I probably should have went over this first, but we know, I hate that my marker doesn't do the erasing thingy natural anymore. I don't know why. So change in quantity over change in price, percentage change in quantity over percentage change in price equals the change in quantity over Q1 over the change in price over P1. And if we rearrange this, that is change in quantity over Q1 times P1 over change in P. We rearrange this, just move the P over here. It just looks like this. So this thing over here is the slope. And right now we're just multiplying it by like a little factor of the two prices to sort of give us like a bit more like intuition as to how much it actually increased. So if we were to look at this example right here, 250, right, and we multiplied the 250 by the P1 and the Q1, that would be 250 times, actually let's not even do 250, let's do 25 just because I want to show how big of a deal it is. Actually, okay, let's deal with 250, whatever. P1, Q1, so that is 2 over 10,000. That's 2 over 10,000, and that, I'm not going to do the math, but clearly it's way smaller than, it's like 20%, I think, I'm not too sure. But anyway, it's super small, 0.2. Whereas if we were to look at just this number itself, we would have been like, damn, this has such a high price elasticity of demand. The price affects the quantity so much. And then when you look at this, when you look at the actual factor of the actual prices, it kind of shows us like this is more like a doubling of the amount, whereas this is like it's already in the thousands. Like this is like the ratio is just larger, you know? So that's why price elasticity of demand isn't just a slope. In terms of graphing it, I'm not too sure how that would look. I'm gonna see what I can do. You have let's just do Q here, P here. So this is the slope, and then we have and then if we're multiplying it by P over Q, that means that we're multiplying it by this amount, and then we're dividing it by this amount, basically, or like, I guess we're like from here, right? Because it's like this Q1 and this P1. What would, I guess multiplying it by the P and the Q sort of just, it kind of shows like, oh, like look, the P is so small, whereas the Q is really big. So it's just like in terms of graphing, it's sort of like the same idea as here. It's like, where does the number actually start? It's like, what is the Q1 and the P1? Whereas like the P2 and the Q2, whatever. Anyway, that's that. Okay, bye guys.